Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is a Brit in Latin America, Matthew. He goes by Thy Lord Matthew on Twitter. If you're in LATAM Twitter, you've probably seen him around. We welcome Matthew to the podcast. How's it going, man?
All good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I love just getting shown up by the British accent and how much of a ruffian I am by comparison. So happy to have you here.
I don't know, man. I mean, if people know the accents, who's, if I do the proper British accent, the Queen's English, and it's different, right? But, the people in Latin America don't know the accents too well, though, so.
Right. So the Brits will know you're faking it and you're not really from the good part or whatever.
Exactly. You could tell, you could acquiesce which place I'm from, but, nobody speaks like the Queen anymore anyway, so.
Well, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Thy Lord Matthew? How'd you come up with the name, and what pushed you to become an expat in Latin America?
I never had plans to be an expat like that. During COVID, I was in Tenerife, and everything was starting to close down. Obviously, I was in the UK in the first half of COVID, and I went to Tenerife after that.
Mm-hmm.
And everything there was starting to close down, the gyms, the bars. So I was at protests there and that, and I started hearing from a few people. I think about 8 different people told me that Mexico was fully open. It was like probably one of the only countries that was.
Yeah.
It was all in green. So I kept hearing it, and I was like, okay, I'll think about it a little bit. And eventually I was like, fuck it, I'll just fly there, because what other option? I was either fly back to the UK, do another 4 months of lockdown, or fly to Mexico and, live it up or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I got to Mexico, everything was amazing. You could do whatever you wanted. And it seemed like every other expat in the world happened to be there in Playa del Carmen at the same time.
I was there, bro.
You were there too. We probably crossed paths. We must have.
That's funny. Do you remember the Embajada? It was this bar. Closed down. It was sick.
What's it called? Embajada?
Embajada, yeah. It was like an open pit, basically. It was like an open air bar. It was sick. Anyway, okay, I didn't mean to derail you. Tenerife to Mexico, very logical. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, good 9-10 hour flight. Just get over there. Never been to America before ever. Take a giant flight. Then I just spent 4 or 5 months there, and I liked it so much that I came back. So I flew back to the UK, went back again. So I think I just kind of slid into the expat life. I was already working online though, so I sort of had that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to go and find anything else new to do. So, and now I just keep doing it, So it's like, I feel like if you're an expat and you work online, you'll end up relating better to the people that's abroad anyway,
Mm-hmm.
So even if you go back home, you're kind of not doing the same thing as those people anyway. You're going to have a way better lifestyle with other people doing the same thing as you.
And was Tenerife like a recent thing, or how long were you kind of outside the UK for?
So what was COVID? That was 2020 or 2021, right?
Yep, 2020.
So I think in the middle of COVID was when I was there. I did a little Euro trip. I went around like Croatia, Germany, Switzerland, and then Tenerife, which I did for 4 months. What was the question again?
I guess I was just curious if you were like already in Tenerife for a couple of years and then COVID hit, or was that like a new development?
No, Tenerife was kind of the same as Mexico, where I was in Switzerland and I had no apartment and no flight. Like, I had nowhere to go. Like, Switzerland was semi-locked down too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, where the fuck do you go? And they used to have a map. I forget the website. Back in the day on that COVID thing, they used to have a map which would tell you, you had red, yellow, and orange, what countries open and what restrictions there was.
Mm-hmm.
And the only place in Europe that was like yellow, green was Tenerife. So that night, that I had no apartment left. I just booked a flight for the next morning, and I went there without any Spanish, with no knowledge of the place at all. You know, and I touched down. I lived. I decided to live. I always lived in the city, so I chose to stay in Santa Cruz de Tenerife because I
Hmm.
thought, okay, it's the biggest city, it's going to be the best thing to do. And there was no expats there whatsoever. It was just Spanish people. I had no Spanish,
Hmm.
so
No beach either in the city.
no, there is in the north. Like if you go about 15 minutes north, there's one. But
There's like the big fake beach, but
people
yeah,
call that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it's definitely yeah, no. It's a cool city though. It's like very walkable. I
I
like
like it. I like it.
yeah.
It was just a bit of a. I would say it was like a little bit of a shock because I touched down and I realized, fuck, I can't talk to anybody, right? You know, I was still in the version of. I think I had Duolingo on my phone at that time, and I had the Google Translate, and I was doing like "Donde está el baño," like shit like that. I was at that level.
Oh man, that's good. So you get to Playa. What did you kind of like first notice about the Americas, about Mexico? What were some of your early observations or surprises?
Do you know what it was like? It felt like being on the moon almost. It was so different. I think because I haven't been anywhere tropical before, like it just felt really weird, and because you're basically on the other side of the world, and all the roads are super wide. Like everything's different to me there. It just felt all surreal in a kind of way the first few months. You know,
That you felt that different, huh?
it literally did. It literally did. We don't have streets like that. You know, we don't have tropical places. We don't have even like the Quinta Avenida. Like there's nothing that looks like that. In Europe.
I feel like doesn't England have all these like like beach boardwalk type of towns where you like walk along the beach
Mate,
and
we don't have beaches. You got to go down to like the west coast of the UK and you'll get beaches down there, but the rest of it ain't got no beach.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that's cool. So, you start in Playa. It was a moment in time, bro. It was a sick moment for a couple of years there, where everyone was there and like jungle parties and all that stuff. So that must have been good.
Yeah, man. It felt like everyone was there and everyone had like a rooftop. The pool on the rooftop and everyone. So you said something about Ambahamba or whatever the fuck you called it, right? We used to
Embajada.
go.
Yeah,
Was it
it,
called
it closed
Ambahamba?
down. It closed down, but the real legends know it was a sick bar.
Okay, where was that? Was that near Tequila Barrel?
Yeah, it was quite close to Tequila Barrel.
Okay, I don't know if I've been. I used to go to Clandestino all the time.
Clandestino, yep, yep.
That was our
Those are
spot.
like those are like the big two. Yeah,
Yeah, the rooftop of Clandestino. I think maybe it was 3 floors or two. I can't remember, but that was our spot on the second floor.
yeah. Just on the roof where they do the techno.
Yeah, fuck no, I can't remember what music it was, but I just remember how the layout was. The bar at the back and the sort of big open area in the front.
Yeah, so Clandestino was like two floors basically. Where it was like the main floor. The indoors was like basically reggaeton,
Yeah,
and then the roof was techno, and then most people would hang out on the roof because you could smoke and stuff.
yeah, I think the reggaeton floor. I think that's what I used to be on.
Yeah, it was good times. Okay, so you're in Playa. You're now in Argentina. Seems to be the base. Why Argentina specifically? Was that like part of the plan? How did you land there?
I was in Brazil at the time, and obviously, I guess you have different residencies, different passports, right? I have different residencies, but I hadn't got a second passport yet. So I was looking at how it was best to do that. And at that time, Argentina was one of the easiest ones to do. Obviously, most of them you have to stay in the country a while anyway, so you have to invest a bit. I was
Easiest
like,
residency, Argentina.
citizenship.
Citizenship. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, I've never been to Argentina properly before. I'd cut in for 4 hours at one time, like in 2022. But I was like, I can go and check out Argentina for a little bit, do the citizenship, get a passport, live in the country a while. And I think having a second passport is kind of the biggest, how can you say, like help for like traveling around Latin America.
Mm.
because you don't need to get the residencies anymore.
This is true. So you went to Argentina kind of specifically with in mind to get residency and start working towards citizenship?
Exactly, yeah. Because at that time, you only had to stay, I think, 6 months in the country. That was the criteria, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, right now that's changed, but most people can do 6 months in a place, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of good places to go down there. So
Hmm. I'm curious, was part of that because of Brexit and kind of the scars of kind of like losing access to the EU, and then you kind of maybe saw the value of a second passport, and then probably that combined with COVID. Was that part of the logic?
that is definitely part of it, yeah. Because if I want to stay in Europe, I can stay 3 months in anywhere in Europe, and I've got to exit for a whole another 3 months and then come back in.
Mhm.
So yeah, Brexit fucked me a little bit, but yeah. Um, so yeah, if I have two passports, I can basically stay there year round.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah,
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah, yeah.
have been known
Because
to
they're all
do that.
going digital. They're all going digital now, aren't they? I don't know. Things will change, right?
I didn't mean it in that way where you could like do the passport swap to stay all year. I just meant more in the sense of like valuing mobility more.
What do you mean? As in having two passports and being more mobile?
Yeah, just in terms of like, if I get a passport in this settlement block as it's called, then I kind of unlock the continent, that kind of way of
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah. Because you get. I don't know the exact benefits, but in Latin America, you do. I think you get like automatic residency in the other countries, like the Mercosur shit, right? So I think if
Yeah,
you have
it's
like
somewhat unevenly applied, but yeah, correct. Like once you have the Argentine passport, then you can go get residency in Colombia or Chile or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So I think having that second one like unlocks down here, and it also unlocks Europe potentially.
Potentially. So I guess how long have you been in Argentina? It sounds like you've kind of based up in Buenos Aires. How's that going?
I'm not currently in Buenos Aires, but I had been based there.
Okay.
Um, I've got what am I at? I'm probably like a year and a half in Argentina, 2 years almost, like in the whole place.
Hmm.
Obviously, if you've seen recent posts, Buenos Aires is not my spot to be in, but
Really? Oh no, I haven't seen that. You've been doing a little shit talking of Buenos Aires.
I wouldn't say shit talk. I'll call it a critique.
Okay.
I get some hate for it on there too, but I think it's one of those things where if you write things you don't like about a country that's not your own, people people fucking hate you for it. Whereas I've seen someone write about Argentina in the days after mine, and they've been saying like, "Oh, it's disgusting, it's dirty," like worse words than I was using, and nobody give them any hate at all, you know, because they're Argentinian and they're speaking in Spanish.
So where are you based now? If you divulge that.
I'm not going to divulge you. Let's just say I'll just say it's not Buenos Aires. I can tell you off. I can tell you off, but I
Cool.
keep it. I keep it semi-private on public. But
I think we're in some of the same Telegram groups.
we are. We are. We are.
Cool. So I guess how has your view of the place evolved from day one to today? Talking both about Buenos Aires, but Argentina in general. Like, there's always like a honeymoon period in the beginning, and then maybe reality sets in a little bit more.
Do you mean with my personal experience with the
Yeah,
place?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean every place has a honeymoon period, like a month. A month where everything's exciting. You've got new restaurants, all the sidewalks are different, the people are different, all those sort of things, right? So if you stay 2 to 3 months in a place or more, then you know if you actually like it or not for the place because you actually have built some type of lifestyle surely in that time.
Hmm.
So obviously, I'm way outside of the honeymoon period of being in Buenos Aires or Argentina generally. So when I first came to Buenos Aires, I actually missed I missed the so-called golden age that people talk about, where you get like $5, $10 steaks or whatever fucking people were talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I came when it got expensive already. So, but I still had a lot of fun in the early days there, right? But I think over 2 years it still changed. I think there was more. people, at least for the local people, I think they had more hope 2 years ago than they do now. And as for expats, I feel like there's way less expats in Buenos Aires. I could be wrong, but obviously we're out of season. I think there's less now than there was 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably just because maybe they just see it as a worse arbitrage opportunity solely for that. I don't know.
There's definitely still a lot of expats and tourists and stuff like that. Like you can't walk around Palermo without seeing like a million foreigners.
It's not like that right now. Obviously, it's winter, but you can also tell that the rental market has stayed the same low prices, arguably even slightly lower, which means most of those apartments in Palermo are not getting rented.
Yeah, I was in Buenos Aires like 2 months ago, and I could not believe the prices of Airbnbs. It was actually quite cheap. Like I was getting pretty sick places for well under $100. I think I was paying like $60 a night, and had like a pretty dope like 2 level double ceiling like floor to window place. I was like, okay, I was because food is still super expensive and stuff, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, dude, the dinner is like more than the Airbnb, which is quite rare.
Yeah, and you're talking about Airbnb. If you go direct, it's like half the price.
Of
So
course, yeah.
that thing that you had, whatever it cost, like $1,500, you get that for like 800 if you go
Hmm.
direct.
Hmm.
It's weird. Airbnb is more expensive everywhere generally, but I've never seen the difference like that big in Buenos Aires.
Well, I guess it's probably worth asking the question directly then. Like right now, what do you feel like is the real cost of living for an expat in Argentina?
In Argentina overall or Buenos Aires.
Yeah, it's hard to keep going back and forth because I know you're not in Buenos
Yeah,
Aires right
yeah.
now, and Buenos Aires is base. What would you say? Maybe like double the price of the rest of the country, but take a stab at it.
No, because like let's say all the other cities in Argentina, they're more expensive for rent, which is weird,
Hmm.
but they're cheaper for all the other, food and whatever else. So it
Hmm.
almost evens out like that, depending on what you choose your apartment. But if I have a stab, let's base it on Buenos Aires. Whatever. If you're let's say an average expat, not living like a king or whatever the fuck people want to say, I would go for like 2,500. You could do it. You could rent a place. You could go super low, but like you can rent a place $600, like pretty good in Palermo.
Hmm.
It depends how much you're going to eat out, because if you eat out twice a week, that's a good. Yeah, you're spending at least $50 each time you eat out. You
Hmm.
can't unless you're going somewhere shit.
Hmm.
Like unless you're eating empanadas, which I don't know who wants to go and do that in Argentina or anywhere. You're going to go and eat steak. You're going to spend $50, $60.
Yeah.
So yeah, two and a half.
Okay. Buenos Aires, 2,500 a month.
Yeah, yeah. Numbeo can take those numbers off me and change theirs because they always get it wrong, don't they?
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to that. I mean, I feel like it's reasonably. I don't know. Anyway, but okay. So that's actually really interesting what you said that rent is cheaper in Buenos Aires than in the rest of the country. Is that like a supply and demand thing, or could you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, I think 100%. Like what I said a minute ago, in Buenos Aires, I think there's way less tourists there than before. And remember, Palermo, let's say one of the number one neighborhoods, most of the locals can't really afford it, right?
Hmm.
And if there's no tourists there and it's not tourist season, they got loads of empty apartments. I think they just actually want to rent it. It's better than to get some money than nothing, right?
Hmm.
Whereas for the rest of the country, which is less tourism, they only have a certain amount of apartments available, like where I'm at right now. So and the locals can actually afford it here, you know. So there's less apartments and they can keep their prices higher. Like some of the places I've been looking at here recently, like I've never paid that amount for an apartment of that quality anywhere else. You would get better in, Mexico City or Playa del Carmen.
Can you give us a region? Because it's hard. Because there's kind of like four ish regions other than so you have Buenos Aires.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have, I guess you could call Mar del Plata maybe a region. You have
Mhm.
Misiones in the north, which I like.
Yeah.
Uh, you have Northwest, which is like Salta and Jujuy. You have the wine regions like Mendoza and the smaller ones, San Juan, San Rafael. And then you have Patagonia, Bariloche in the south. Would you, and then I guess like Cordoba and some interior cities in the middle. So maybe like six ish regions. Can you help narrow it down?
You're gonna pinpoint me on the map here.
Okay. Well, you don't have to then.
All right. I'll give you this. It's west of Buenos Aires, northwest-ish.
Northwest-ish. Okay. That's gotta be Cordoba.
Dude, bro, people are gonna find that out now and be like, oh, he's there. Okay. Right.
It's still a pretty big city. I don't think they'll find you. So okay. Explain the dynamic again. Like why would rent be more expensive in a second tier city?
I think because let's say Argentina as a whole has been getting more expensive, right,
Uh-huh.
over the last few years. The only thing that keeps that down is if the people giving those services decide, oh shit, we need to get people in, you know? So as you can see in Palermo, the restaurants haven't lowered at all. Like, if anything, their prices are higher
Hmm.
because those few restaurants, let's say like Don Julio, right? All of their clientele is tourists who don't know what the local pricing could or should be, right? So they don't need to lower their prices, you know. And likewise, in the rest of the country, they don't need to lower their prices either because it's they're not
Local
catering to the
market.
tourism. Yeah.
So I thought maybe the direction you would take it is that like for like a Western standard for like a nice place, maybe there's less Western standard nice apartments in tier B cities, and that's why it's more expensive. Just like the relative supply of is that part of it or
Yeah, I mean that is a truth, but I don't know whether that's part of it because think about it, all the locals in these cities, they're not used to staying in Western standard places anyway. That's not necessarily the ones that they're going to be renting from, is it? You when you talk about Western standard, you look at some of the new places in maybe Palermo or if anyone stays in Puerto Madero or all the newer neighbors, right? Like here where I'm at, there's I don't know maybe three new buildings that I've ever seen.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's normal for the locals to try and rent in that sort of place.
Okay, cool. So 2,500 in Buenos Aires, obviously quite reasonable. Let's say a little bit less in tier B cities. So you're living pretty good, $2,000 a month, give or take.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Um,
upper end. It's upper end of Latin America, but still.
yeah, still fine. So moving on to some other topics, I guess. Was curious about how the residency process was for you. Go into as much detail as you want. I know it can be sensitive a little bit, but like, did you have true like I imagine you did the rentista visa. Did you have true passive income to show, or did they kind of take like your Amazon FBA sort of earned income, or how did that go?
I'm still in the process of that part because I started this whole process as doing a direct to citizenship sort of play.
Ah.
So I didn't do any of the rentista stuff when I originally began. So I'm kind of going through bits of that exactly right now. I have to show I have to show some sort of invoice that I'm charging somebody, whether inside a country or out. So I'm figuring out with the lawyers how exactly to do that right now. Or you can have passive income as a rental property if you own the title deed to a property here and you have passive income from that.
Yep.
That's one of the other ways.
Yep. For the audience's benefit, the rentista visa, you need to show about 1,500 a month in passive income, which could be a rental property, could be a pension, whatever. Argentina is kind of a standout in that they don't have too many residency paths at the moment. Um, they had an investor visa, but they don't really do it anymore because it was it was written in pesos, and now the peso number doesn't make sense due to inflation. Um, and then they have the student visa, but the student visa is kind of the only other one other than the rentista visa. Like most other Latin American countries have like 10 visa paths,
Hmm.
or at least like four or five good ones. And then Argentina is the only one where it's like if you don't have passive income, you almost like have to do the student visa. Like there's not too many options.
Their systems are archaic. That's probably why. Like even if you just physically go down to migrations and the port area where all those buildings are, like it looks. I mean, that was probably built in the 1920s and not restored ever since. And that's exactly how some of the system works. I think they're improving bits of it. Like a lot of it is actually online now, but the early parts, I'm going into all these appointments, and it's you go to an appointment here, and then they tell you you need five different documents. Another attendant tells you something else, and you go to another office. It's almost like early Paraguay, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, let's get into the speaking of archaic, some of the I guess criticisms or critiques that you've had. I haven't seen for people who haven't seen the tweets, like what are some of the ones that have done well, so to speak.
The one I did the other day was, if I can remember the top line, I basically said that Buenos Aires is not worth living in unless you really fucking love electronic music and going to nightclub until 2 p.m. the next day. Because that's what the whole culture feels like there. So that I think that opening line there kind of stirred a few people, but
I mean, you're not wrong. It's the nightlife is very late. So if
yeah,
you, it's like if you want to participate in nightlife, like it's late. You know, if you don't
right.
need nightlife, then you're fine. But if you want nightlife, you gotta. It's very hard for people with like a normal job that have to be up to 9 a.m. to participate in that.
Yeah, and people will talk about the vibe of a place. Like, okay, so you went to Playa del Carmen too, right?
Mhm.
So you know the day vibe of like Quinta Avenida and all the stuff going on, right? Yeah, you can do the night. You got the daytime there too. Buenos Aires don't have much of a day vibe,
Mm.
so it has really great places. Like, it has a lot of great cafes, a lot of great restaurants, but except for like some of the select few, like the Don Julio, most of them is dead right now. You can tell, like, if you go into the local places, like there's places I used to buy, local food from, raw milk, different things like this. I've come back like every 6 months or so, and I just, I'll talk to them normally, like, how's business and things like this. And every time they tell me, like, people are buying less stuff. People are not going out as much and they're buying less stuff. They're going to the store, and instead of, maybe you pick a few things off the shelf that you like, now they're just picking like that essential thing and then they go, you know?
Yeah, the one of the questions Grok prompted for me to ask you is, it's a quote unquote. You mentioned young locals struggling with many sliding into tough situations.
Yeah.
What changes have you seen on the street compared to when you first arrived?
What I see personally, and what made me sort of talk to people and like observe about it, is like if you walk around during the day, you only see old people, especially Recoleta, Palermo. And I was asking some of the local people, like, what's life like here? They'll talk about Malay, they'll talk about what's the city like, and every single one of them is telling me like, oh, it's not like how it was in the 2000s. Like 2000s was peak Argentina, where you know they even have videos of it on X, like how the lifestyle was and how the people were and how joyful it was, whatever it was. And now they just tell me they have two jobs, maybe even a side job, and they're studying and they can't afford to do anything. You know. So one dude was telling me, he's a relatively young dude. He's working two jobs too and studying. He was telling me that even if he met a girl there, and he's local by the way, he can't take her on a date because it's going to cost him 50 to 100,000 pesos. You know,
Mhm.
and that's going to be a giant chunk of his wages.
Yeah.
So now he just told me he's working and studying for a hope of a better future, and he's still on the fence about whether to stay in Argentina or go to Brazil or wherever else. There's an obvious choice, right?
Yeah, I saw some charts or maps, and it was like the delinquency rates on loans in Argentina are insane. It's something like 25% of people are like delinquent on debt.
Really. See, I don't know the stats like that. Like, there's a dude on, I'll shout him out it, Buy Sell BA. I don't know if you follow him too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's good with all the stats. Yeah, and he told me, I think he's told me stats to sort of prove the shit that I'm seeing on the street there. As in, even the things like the prostitution, all those numbers have gone way up. You know, as he said something about some website or whatever, right? I think, I don't know this website, no, I'm joking. Um, all of those things, and because you don't see, even in the club, I didn't go to the club much. Obviously, I've been there much before, 2 years past. Even there, like the young people that are going out, they're not even drinking. They're just standing there because they can't afford it,
Hmm.
and most of them are paid to be there. So that's the only reason they're there. Like you'll get groups of 40 girls that have been paid by the promoters just to go there and stand there and like talk to people and trying to make the place look like it's worth going to.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas in a day, obviously, you don't see them anywhere because they're not. To me, they're not afforded leisure by the current society and the current economic situation.
It's like that in Europe too, right? Maybe the UK is slightly different in some ways, but like in when you go to mainland Europe, you mentioned Croatia and Southern Europe and stuff. Most people aren't really drinking either. Um, they just like nurse one beer for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could extrapolate as in a lot of the world. They're talking about like how run clubs and different events are more popping up versus people drinking now.
Mhm.
I don't know too much because I don't spend too much time in Europe now. I spend maybe 1 to 3 months. You know, it's been a year since then, but yeah, possibly people drinking less. But I also
Yeah, it's
think
not a
people.
drink less thing. It's like a spend less, I think. It's a bit of both. Like, Europeans have always been more responsible with the drinking, but it's really a spend less thing. They're like, I don't have money to buy three drinks in the same night type of thing.
Hmm, that's definitely happening. I mean, for the UK, like we're not responsible with drinking either. So you know that if we could, we'd
If
be in there.
we-
We'd be in there drinking everything. But I know that a lot of the pubs and the clubs and stuff in the UK have been shut down since COVID too, because it couldn't survive.
Mhm.
Which is weird because like that's kind of it is a bit of the social fabric of the UK is like going to a pub. As much you don't have to get drunk or whatever, but it's kind of the place where people used to meet, right?
Uh-huh. There's always money for the churrasco, I feel like, which is an amazing part of Argentina culture, taking
True.
part in the weekend churrasco. Could you break down a little bit of that and just some of, on the flip side, some of your favorite parts about Argentina?
Yeah, that kind of culture there. They have the asados and they have the drinking the mate. You know, people kind of gather for that, and they're kind of cheaper things you can do. Because you're using your own balcony, you're using your own
Hmm.
barbecue. So I think that's kind of a good thing yeah, where you don't have to go and drink every single time you're doing something with people, right? Um, as for things I like about Argentina, I think hands down, probably it's probably the best for nature. If you think about it, Patagonia, in my opinion, is the best natural place I've ever seen. Even though I haven't been there yet, but it's on my list to go and do properly. Um, it also has like four like biomes. You've got almost the desert and the canyon in the north, and more heat, and you've got the tropical area of Misiones and Iguazu. You got more normal and temperate Buenos Aires and those places in the south. You got all the ice and the snow and whatever else. You have every like climate you could want to be in, and they're
Hmm.
relatively close, like within 3 4 hours.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be my list for now.
And we don't talk about dating really on the podcast, but I know that like social circle type stuff is really like a big emphasis for you. Certainly me, I grew a lot as a man and learned a lot about social dynamics and so forth. Being in Latin America, what have been some of your big epiphanies in Argentina, kind of adapting to the dynamics there?
I think it's kind of the same anywhere in the world. So Argentina is different than the rest of Latin America, though. So if you talk about going to Colombia and Brazil, I think their social culture is initially more warm and open, right? Not as a sort of a diss on Argentinians. They're more, I would say, they're more neutral to new people, like we are in the UK. You know, so in all these places, if you don't do some sort of social circle thing, you're not really meeting people in the right kind of way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, for me, it's best. This is why I talk about the social circle stuff so much. Is like if you pick some shit that you like doing already, for me, that's like tennis and paddle, which happen to be the two best things in Argentina to do, right?
Hmm.
For someone else, that'd be something else, and they'll vibe more with another country, right? I think it's good to pick somewhere based on those sort of things you like.
Hmm. Keep going with that. Like, I'm sure you've had many epiphanies.
Prompt me, like, what kind of direction? What do you think?
Um, just when you grew up, social dynamics were maybe one way. You get to Argentina, it's a little bit different. Think what comes to mind there?
How the social networks here? Yeah, I think even though I haven't been there, I reckon they're quite similar to Russia and Eastern Europe. As in, I can say different ways actually in some of these, but I do think overall they can be a bit more cold initially, but they warm up more later. You know,
Hmm.
and I think especially here outside of Buenos Aires, they're more traditional. So they prefer a lot of times they prefer meeting people in groups of their friends already. You know,
Hmm.
something like that in Colombia. I mean, Colombia they do it too, but Colombia is different. I think they're so much more warm in those other places, which you associate with Latina, right, or Latinos.
Hmm.
I don't consider Argentina as Latino really. Obviously, they love saying they're European all the time anyway,
Yeah.
and I will give them that for an extent because I think they're kind of similar to Eastern Europe and maybe even UK as in the cultures. And like people have said, I get this all the time when I come down here, is that they always say people from Europe are cold, like in Brazil or Colombia, right? That's kind of our reputation a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think that Argentina can be like that initially.
Yeah, for sure.
So even from accounts of other people I've seen go to Argentina, they tend to find things much easier socially to do in like a Brazil or a Colombia, like from the get go, you know?
Right. Yeah. Have you like experienced loneliness or like a bit of a language barrier at all? Especially in when you get out of Buenos Aires, maybe the English levels are a little bit lower.
Yeah, but the thing is now I'm better in Spanish. I can do both to an extent. I still prefer doing the English, obviously, but now because I've been doing it 5 6 years, I know people in most cities. So I don't find it as difficult for me personally. Like when I had the most feeling of that was Tenerife. You know, no language, didn't know anybody, don't
Hmm.
even know how to live as a nomad, particularly because you have to start your own new life again, right?
Hmm.
Every new place you go to, you have to start doing shit.
But when you're in Buenos Aires, like there's a lot of British expats, lots of foreigners. I imagine a lot less in Tier B Argentina, where you're probably hanging a lot more with locals.
Yeah, that's the trade off of anywhere in Latin America. you're picking either the big city that everybody goes to, like Buenos Aires, where you have a network and you have more ambitious people, and you're going to meet a lot of English speakers, which is a good bonus depending on the person. And then you have the tier two cities where I think personally you got more normal, conservative, traditional, better people, but you don't have the expats that you're going to speak your English with. So it's a trade off.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of historic ties between Argentina and the UK, which I'm sure you've discovered being there. Maybe you didn't know much about it going into it, and then you kind of learn like, oh, we built your railroads and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, the locals don't necessarily always know that part. In Buenos Aires, they have obviously the railroads, and they have an English clock tower that we gave them at some point. I actually
Yeah.
didn't go and see that, but and the weird thing is, we kind of got things for both ways. Obviously, with the past history and whatever, we've invested money in them, and they have similar cultural things as us. All the things they like are like British things. Like they love rock, Oasis, Coldplay,
Mm.
rugby, football is their favorite sport.
Mhm.
Polo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, rugby's a big one. I've been to a bunch of the like English country clubs in Buenos Aires that were like
Mm.
they were like founded by the Brits and this kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah. It's a weird thing like that, isn't it? I think to have both sides of it in Buenos Aires at once. Like you can have. I mean, look, as an example, that English clock tower I was talking about, that's right next to a Malvinas statue.
Where's the English clock tower? AI
It's in
this.
Retiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
English clock tower, Buenos Aires. Anyway, I went to the Belgrano country club in Buenos Aires, and you look up on the wall where they have like it was like the captains of the rugby team that like one every year it would be like the last name of the captain of the rugby team. It's like
Mhm.
100 years worth of the last names. And the first like 70 years, it's like, it's like Smith, 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 whatever. And then like it starts and then it's like Smith Gonzalez, Smith Gonzalez, and then like 80s plus, and then it's all like Gonzalez, 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 and
Oh
so
yeah.
you can kind of see how the club like became more uh Argentine over time.
It's crazy. No, I've never been there. I didn't even know it existed. I was only just
Yeah,
learning about the clock tower and things like very recently.
there's a lot of these old sort of like British patrician families that like own a lot of the big companies and stuff.
Oh, because
Um,
there's a where is it? There's a English. What do you call it? Barrio Inglés. I think that's in. Is that in Belgrano or somewhere over there?
yes. Okay, so this might be slightly boring for people, so I'm going to switch it up. What I'm just curious, what are you doing right now for like getting money into the country? Are you going to the ATMs? It's because it's still pretty cash heavy. Are you using Western Union? What's the hack in 2026?
What I'm doing right now to get money in the country is I'm spending 4 or 5 hours in the bank and then still not getting it out. I just did that
Nah,
today.
nah.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you don't have a DNI, there's only a certain amount of bank accounts you can open.
Uh-huh.
They're just not going to let you. So
Wow,
yeah,
you were able to open what you were able to open a local bank account without residency, really? Without a DNI?
I have temporary residency right now.
Gotcha.
So I have most of the documents that at least this bank would let you do. State-owned banks will let you do it. It's the
Hmm.
private ones that don't. So I've tried every single bank, and all the private ones won't do it. Santander, Galicia, and all those.
So why do you have to go through a bank? Like, why can't you do Western Union or one of those other ones?
You can do
Are
that
they?
if you just want the money. Yeah, Western Union. That's the way I would do if I just wanted cash.
Uh-huh.
But specifically for the residency, I've got to put it through the bank.
Ah, I see what you're saying. So for the residency purposes. Okay.
Yeah. If you're just living and you want to get cash out, you got to use Western Union. And I've heard Lemon Pay. I haven't checked it out, but I've heard Lemon Pay is really good.
Okay. Lemon Pay, that's one people can look into.
I
Obviously,
should have
you
set up. I
probably.
should have set up a affiliate or something for them, but I don't even know who they are.
What do you have like a, I imagine US LLC, or what kind of, are you using like UK credit cards? What are you doing for cards?
I have a US bank account and I use their credit cards. So
Okay.
I have a US LLC too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. And
and
like your main thing is Amazon FBA, is my understanding.
no, that was mostly it before. I do that. I probably spend about 20 or 30% of my time on Amazon and about 70% of it making games.
Making games. What does that mean?
I make mobile games right now. I started doing that the last maybe year and a half, 2 years.
Wow. How do you monetize that? Is it like advertise? Is it like a free app and then advertise like freemium, or how's that
Yes,
work?
exactly. Freemium. So you stick up. You're gonna make, depending on the game, you're gonna make a certain amount on ads and a certain amount on the shop.
Uh huh.
And different games are like more percentage of ads, and different games are more percentage of shop.
That must be getting mad competitive with AI though.
Hey man, what industry ain't competitive though, right? You know?
I guess, but the hard part is like getting in the store, I guess, right? Because you can make the mobile games, but it's hard to like get in the app store.
Yeah, you still have to make a good game. You still got to get the metrics right. You know. So I think the thing is for me, AI is perfect because it makes everything easier. Like I started out doing this, and I think ChatGPT and things just came along, and
Hmm.
they were shit at coding. I mean, I prompt stuff, and then I'll come in and like everything's broken. I have to like dig out of a big hole. Whereas now you can actually one shot most of the code. So for me, it's perfect because it's like, you know, it's more than half the time of me making a game.
Mm, that's cool. And are you? I imagine you're using Cloud Code pretty heavily right now.
I am not. I am fully GPT and Gemini.
Okay. Okay. In Cursor?
No, I did use that before, but I keep it fully in GPT and I just download scripts from it. It's a little
No,
bit.
no code editor.
No, like I don't really like the AI having like direct control over my code. You know, I don't want the IDE, the
Uh,
interface.
wow. Is this something new? Like, did you know how to code before, or were you a gamer before? Or is this something that was like more opportunistic?
I used to actually when I was about 12 years old. I didn't code that much, but I did run a game server. I had a friend actually code me an entire game server that I ran. So even back then, I was sort of using, let's say, virtual assistants to code for me, right? Because I wasn't doing it myself. I knew bits. You
Mm, damn, that's crazy. Wow. The only game I play on my phone is chess.
know, that's a solid game, though, isn't it? It's a solid game.
You play chess?
I don't. I've played. Well, I'm pretty mediocre at it. You know, I can play it. I know how to play it, but I'm not that good.
It's big in Argentina, actually. Chess. A lot of like champions and stuff come from there.
Peter Thiel likes it, doesn't he?
Peter Thiel. Yeah, there's a lot of like Russian, Argentine chess players and stuff like that. That's cool. What do you think about the Peter Thiel thing as we get to wrapping up?
Well, I mean, him investing here.
Yeah.
Um, I find it kind of weird because like he must be in the same like circles of like Twitter. You know how like people are talking about, oh, I got to get a bunker and like live where the what do you call it, the nuclear fallout isn't going to hit me. I feel
Uh-huh.
like that's such a Twitter like meme type thing to speak about. You know?
Think so?
Yeah, and I feel he must be like in these circles, but you just don't see him there. Do you know what I mean?
Think he's got a, what's it called?
Burner, yeah.
A burner account, and he's on LATAM Twitter.
I think so. He's hidden in there somewhere. He's a bow tied something.
You might be right. You might be right. That's
Because yeah,
funny.
otherwise I don't know. Some people are investing down there, but it seems like quite a big move to think about. You know, He's done Uruguay too, right? Uruguay,
Yeah, yeah.
Argentina, and
Apparently bought some land in Punta del Este.
right. And yeah, it's not. I mean, that's a longer investment play no for Argentina, right? Because you don't know when the economy's going to get better.
I think he like enrolled his kids in school in Argentina, from what I heard.
And he's best mates with Millet now, isn't he? So he must be doing some sort of business there.
Yeah, they've been doing like some AI laws, right? Where they like said like an agent can like start a company or whatever it is.
Yeah,
uh,
that's probably why he's doing it then, right? Because well, you think like Musk is super close with Donald Trump, and he's obviously getting certain
he
deals and certain
he really
things.
wanted to leave the US though, right? Or I don't know, he does like the Plan B stuff, Malta, New Zealand, but he kind of like, he even when he was on Joe Rogan, he's like, I don't know where to move to. Should I move to Texas? I got to get the hell out of California. But Argentina.
Maybe he was on Nomad Capitalist. And he's like, oh, I've got to get the bunker out there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's a client.
Yeah.
Okay. So getting to wrapping up. I was just curious. You've been on Twitter a long time. I imagine it's been a big networking thing for you, right? You've met a lot of the LATAM bros through there.
Yeah, I've probably met a good 15, 20 people just from X. And obviously from the groups from X. You
Hmm.
know. But back when I started, I was fully Amazon. Like, I wasn't really posting about travel that much.
Hmm.
And now obviously that topic's fucking dead.
Hmm.
So now it's full travel and social shit. You know? But yeah, it's good for me. Like it like filters out certain people that you'll get along with more. I think.
Totally like-minded. Random question: were you like inspired by Lawrence King or the Amazon UK, South America?
Do you know what's no? Like he's the first person I met from X actually.
Oh yeah.
But no, I was already. I don't know when he started actually, but I started Amazon in 2017, maybe 16. Like I'm not even sure if I was. I don't think I was even writing on Twitter at that time.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's just a coincidence, I think, with that one. And he don't do Amazon anymore, I don't think, does he?
I don't think so. What's the Lawrence King story? The first meetup. There's got to be a little story there.
A little story. I think it was just so early for Paraguay. You know, like he was one of the first guys doing the Paraguay citizenship and residency, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was him and a dude on Reddit were the only two people I knew who had done residency in Paraguay. But I knew it was a way of like paying low, zero tax. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and do it. So I reached out to the dude on Reddit who helped me a lot, and I also reached out to Lawrence, and he happened, he was there, and I met up with him there. So I don't know if that's probably a fucking boring ass story for the the audience or whatever, but you know that's
No,
how
it's
it
cool.
went.
It's cool how it all comes full circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then since then, obviously we're in the Telegram groups, and there's a whole bunch of people, and we're always going for dinners and steak dinners and shit. I always learn from different people in those groups. There's always something new.
Totally, man. Well, it was great to finally, have this conversation. Been following you for probably a couple of years now at this point, engaging all that. So glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah, and I feel like me and you, we've probably been in the same cities or like we've passed a lot of times.
Well, we'll have to do it in person sometime soon. I'll be down in Argentina in November.
November,
So,
okay. I might be back. I'll go to Europe and I'll be back. So maybe it'll line up.
all right. So, got to get going in a minute here. Where can people find you? Tell people again, it'll all be linked in the description, but, you know, how can they learn from you? Amazon FBA, how can they book a call with you, follow you on Twitter, DM you, so forth?
All of it on X, Thy Lord Matthew. And you can hit my link tree there. You can do consultation or you can do the Amazon FBA stuff. And I got an inner circle on Telegram. You can join that free right now too.
Dude, I clicked on that in preparation for this conversation. I think that link was broken, so double check that
Is it?
the
Okay.
Telegram link.
It's good we mentioned it then.
Yes, go fix that shit before the pod
Yeah, yeah.
launches in a week or two.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so the X Twitter will be in the description to this episode. You guys can go follow Matthew. And for the audience, please subscribe to the My Latin Life podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're listening to this. We put out amazing episodes every 5 days with amazing guests like Matthew, and you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.